Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Martis Martial Arts. I hope and pray all is well with each and every one of you. Today's video is part 2 of a 3-part series that I call Martial Art Moments. And in today's video, I'm going to be having a conversation with a cool, down-to-earth brother named Wes, who I met through my best friend Craig. Now Wes is a martial artist who trains in a Korean system known as Kuk Sool. Now I don't know anything about Kuk Sool, but I'm going to learn today. In fact, we're going to talk about how Wes began his journey in the martial arts, why he chose Kuk Sool to practice, and we're going to learn a lot about Kuk Sool as we dive deep into the system itself and its Korean background. So, hang out with us for a little while and let's kick it, let's journey together, and most importantly, let's share a martial art moment. Stay tuned, y'all. The video is coming up next. Enjoy. Hey, what's up everybody? Thank you for staying tuned in and welcome. Hope you enjoying the content so far. Today my guest is Brother Wes, fellow martial artist, brother of the martial arts.
Yes, sir.
Hey man, so thank you for having a conversation with me. Just an open dialogue about your journey in the martial arts. I understand you're a martial artist as well.
Yes, sir.
Man, so what style do you take, and just tell me about the history of your style and who you trained under and so forth.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Wesley Brown. I'm a student of Kuk Sool of Chicago. Shout out to my teacher, Michael B.X. Hill, who's Quasinum, and I should say Master Michael B.X. Hill. And I hope this dialogue does you proud in all your endeavors with the school. Let's just say my journey as a martial artist began when I was about 25.
Okay.
I started late, but my love for the martial arts went way back into the 70s.
I got you.
So without dating myself and with dating myself, because I have no problem being that guy. Because I'm proud of my age and proud of, gotten to the point where I've survived Chicago for many years. So
exactly.
Back in the 70s, my love for the martial arts began with all your classics, your Samurai Saturdays, your Samurai Sundays, with going to the Rosen Theater and checking out Cleopatra Jones and Into the Dragon and Jim Kelly. Those are my heroes. And then, needless to say, Bruce Lee, because the catalyst for all of for martial arts, modern day martial arts. But it began there. Growing up in Roseland, we didn't have a lot of martial arts schools. Yeah. Let alone
Especially back in the 70s, 80s.
Yeah. And then the ability to afford the martial arts schools.
Right,
So
right.
I know at one point there was at the YMCA they had a karate class that that met once a week, and tried that didn't fit. And then the Chicago Police had an Explorers program on 111th and right off Lafayette Doty Road that had martial arts for like once a week without a set discipline. And it just didn't fit. It's not what I wanted. But my love for it still, progressed. I think at one point I thought I was a ninja.
Okay.
So, I got my mama's pantyhose, put them over my face, cut the little slit in it, and put on what I thought was a dobak or a gi. It was a mess. So, see me running around the house, jumping around. That's part of the martial arts progression.
Right.
It shows your love for it, even in your imagination. And I think it wasn't until I turned 25 that I had passed this place on 103rd in 103rd and Western. That's 10346 Western, which is Kuk Sool in Chicago. And I've been passing there for years, a couple of years, I should say. And something told me to stop in. I stopped in. I met my teacher. He was a couple of years into that particular location, so and I saw on the front it said Kuk Sool in Chicago, Royal Courts, martial arts. So I said, let me stop in and see what they got talking about. See what they're talking about. A black man in the Beverly area with his own martial arts school. So once I went in, had a conversation with him. He showed me a couple of things, explained a couple of things, and I said, let me do this. So one thing that I learned with martial arts is you have to find a style that's relative to you.
Right, exactly.
In studying martial arts without training martial arts, there was a certain point where I realized, as a matter of necessity, convenience, and availability, that there were no kung fu schools on the south side of Chicago. They were all up north. There was Tankson. I know you mentioned Tankson earlier. There was Tankson that was on 70, I think it was like 77th and Cottage Grove. Couldn't get there.
76.
76 in Cottage Grove.
Yeah.
Couldn't get there. And karate really didn't suit me. I thought I wanted to be more of a kung fu guy, but seeing how the movement of kung fu goes, I'm not a small guy, top heavy. So when you look at it, I'm the low stances with certain styles of kung fu, and the power stances and the movement didn't quite fit me, but I liked it. I loved it. Karate was, you take somebody of my stature, the power of karate, to me at the time, and mind you, I'm speaking at the time, the power of karate was linear, and didn't really suit me that way either.
Okay.
Because even though there was karate, I still wanted the movement of kung fu. And those things kind of, it pushed me to a place where, I didn't know where to go. There was no Taekwondo schools around me outside of Texan, which was still a distance for me, even at that time. So I happenstance walk into this school and talking to him, seeing some of the movements and doing a little research, because at that time, we're talking about 95, the internet was just like really taking off, and so your access to a lot of information was more than we had in the 70s and the 80s, but it still wasn't as much as we have now. So I did a little research, and then so I said, let me check it out. The classes, I think it was maybe 3 months for $90 a month or whatever, or whatever the cost margin was at that time. 3 or 4 classes a week, and I said, at least I can check it out. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the school. I fell in love with the atmosphere. I fell in love with the work, and it gave me that work ethic to push myself. Even as a martial artist or just anything, you get to a certain place where you go, I don't feel good. I don't really feel like going, but it's that thing that makes you just go. Yeah. Even if you can't, you as a martial artist, for one thing, if you haven't been injured, you're not a martial artist. So when you can go in with an injury, just to be around it, just to smell it, just to, that gives you that shows your love and your passion for it.
Being in that energy.
You just need to be in the energy.
Right.
You take all of that energy and you focus it in, and you can go through techniques in your head and everything that's associated with that. So that's where my passion for it took on another level. Going into it, you have that fear factor. Fear factor on whether or not you can move into it, and then you get to the point where your confidence level will take you into where you're fearless. So you move from fear to fearless, and then at a certain point, once you become fearless, then sets in the anxiety.
Oh yeah.
The anxious. Because like Mike Tyson said, if you're not anxious before you go into a fight, you're gonna lose.
You already lost.
Because you have to have that to build you up, because it's your confidence builder. That's what moves you in the direction that you need to be, because now you're conscious of your fear.
Right.
And you're ready to take on whatever, because now you're opening up to whatever your opponent has to put at you. But no, to say that martial arts is a major part of my life, absolutely, without a doubt. And I don't have any tattoos, but if I would, I would get one, right on my heart, because that's, you see my heart, you see martial arts, and that's how I live my life, how I move through my day to day. I'm a pretty laid back and calm person. I think as a martial artist, I'm not, when you think about styles of martial arts, Kuk Sool has the various animal styles that we practice. I'm not a tiger, so I'm not aggressive. I'm not a crane, to where I lay back. So I think, in not coming from me, not self-proclaimed, but I was told I was more panther. So if mine was to choose an animal, it would be the panther, because the panther is both aggressive when necessary, and then fade back when needed. Okay. So just those things, stuff that you get over the years, and you manifest into becoming who you are as a martial artist, as a man, and as a survivor and a warrior. Warrior. When you have a warrior's heart, some people are not born with a warrior's heart. Some people are, but then their warrior spirit, a lot of people gain through the martial arts, and you get that. Once you delve into that, then it's a whole nother spectrum, man, a whole nother level that you reach into. Like what did it say on Last Dragon? When you reach that upper level, your mind, body, and soul becomes one.
Right.
It's you get to a certain place, and it's the love for it.
I tell you, man, in our system, we say it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally feel you on that one, man. And I remember I used to ride past your location, and I used to see Kuk Sool 1 Royal Court Guard or Royal Court Art.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about what that means? How does it relate to the Royal Court?
So Kuk Sool is based on, the basis of Kuk Sool is 3 styles of martial arts. So you have your Royal Court, your Buddhist, and then your family martial arts. So your Royal Courts were your upper dignitaries of the Korean war system.
Okay.
Buddhist, so it's Sanamusu, Bukomusu, and Kunjumusu, which is Royal Courts, Buddhist style, and family tribal martial arts. When you get into the family tribal martial arts, it's a lot of the systems that your family just passed down through your family only. All right. The Buddhist system is Bukomusu is the Buddhist system of martial arts, which is more on defense of. Your Royal Courts hierarchy of it is that this is only a certain parts of this is only taught to your higher generals in the aspects of war. If I'm saying it correct for your Kuk Sool aficionados, if I didn't explain it exactly the way it is, but that's the interpretation of what it is. So the Royal Courts if you look at a Kuk Sool uniform, we wear once you become the level of black belt, you attain a general's uniform. We call it a general's uniform. Our uniforms called in Korean terms called dobak. General's uniform, which it emulates the uniform of a warrior. So you have the long epaulets. So if for lack of a better term, when you see a samurai warrior and he has a long skirted uniform and part of his armor, that emulates that armor of a royal court's warrior.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, but then when you get to that level, then now you turn it into something different, and then there's degrees and there's aspects of that you move on to the next phase. Okay. So it's just not like you may have some martial arts institutions where they just have black belt, and then you got degrees of black belt, but there's nothing different to break that down. And our system is, when you look at the general's uniform, the different colors of the uniform or the trimming of the uniform dictates your rank as far as a black belt. Without saying I'm a third degree, I could look at somebody and see what their parts of their uniform is and know without saying, having swatches. Sometimes you see swatches on belts. Okay, he's a fourth degree, but the color of your rank is emulated in your uniform.
Wow. Yeah. Now, are there any similarities or are there major differences between Tang Soo, Taekwondo, Muay Kwan, and Kuk Sool?
There are. Tang Soo, for lack of any other explanation, I would liken that to Korean karate.
Right, because that's the art, the system that Chuck Norris is master of.
He's Tang Soo.
Bob Wall and I believe Pat Johnson too. Rest in peace. The referee and Karate Kid.
Shout out to Joe Fitzgerald, Tang Soo. He's Tang Soo here in Chicago. Kuk Sool is, if you take Hapkido, because the roots of Kuk Sool is Hapkido.
Okay.
Hapkido and add more application. So I know some parts of the system of Hapkido uses weapons. Kuk Sool takes more of Hapkido with more applications with weapons as far as a degree of forms that comes with every degree within that, every rank system within Kuk Sool.
Okay.
And what was the other one you said?
Muay Kwan.
Muay Kwan. That I'm not real familiar with.
Okay.
But I know Tang Soo being familiar with that and having trained with some of the artists of Tang Soo.
Because I know I trained in Muay Kwan karate, so I didn't know if Kuk Sool because with Taekwondo and with specific, especially Taekwondo, they emphasize a lot of kicking.
It's a lot of kicking.
And I thought, well, Kuk Sool is that also emphasis most of the emphasis on kicking, but like you mentioned, it's more structured along the lines of Hapkido with more application.
It is.
Okay.
So when you think of Kuk Sool, you think of I say more application. It's a comprehensive martial art. So it's you have your kicking techniques, you have your punching techniques, you have your falling techniques or knockbuffs, falling principles. You have your grappling, you have joint locks, pressure point striking, internal and external training, your key training. So it encompasses all of that. So if you think about taking all the martial arts and taking the root and the meat of all of it and putting it in a pot and applying it to everything that you're doing within that system, that's what Kuk Sool is.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's how for me, that's how my fit was with it, because it's the movement has a lot of Chinese wushu and gong fu influence.
Okay.
With the power of karate. So you have Kuk Sool is a hard, soft style. So it moves in between all genres of the martial arts world with throws, judo. You take it all and you put it into one system. So what they say, the master of what's the term? The practicer of one, but the master of none.
Oh yeah.
Whatever. What's the term?
Master. How does it go? I know what you're saying.
Yeah. It's
Jack of all trades, master of
none.
none.
So without taking an negative aspect of what that may be saying, it's adaptive.
Okay.
So when you say comprehensive, at the same time you have to put in there adaptive, because martial arts is not absolute. It's forever changing. You always have to adapt.
Right.
You can't go into a fight like, I'm going to hit you like this, and then something happens and now you have to switch that. So you have to adapt. So and this is Kuk Sool is one of the most adaptive martial arts that I've paid attention to.
And how close in lineage are you to your instructor's teacher?
So
I would imagine that eventually his instructors were from Korea.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah.
So if I were to do a timeline, it would be myself, my instructor Michael Hill, his instructor Marlon Sims. Marlon Sims trained over in Seohyuk, which is the founder of the art.
Oh, okay.
So, for lack of a better term, I would say I'm four places in, as opposed to, but Master Eun Seo, his lineage, took him way further than that. But as far as Kuk Sool as it is, as a discipline and as an art and as a foundation, I'm four in that.
Wow, same with me. Yeah, my Gichin Funakoshi was the founder of Shotokan, and he trained the gentleman, O-sensei, we call him by the name of Osamu Ozawa. Osamu Ozawa taught my instructor, Hanshi Johnny Hunter, and I'm training under Sensei Johnny Hunter.
And it's a direct lineage, so you already know when you go into different martial arts styles and genres, the line can go on, but does everybody know where the line goes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So and sometimes it's funny, because as a martial artist, sometimes when you know a particular martial art, you know exactly who you learn from, based who somebody else has learned from, based on how you know their teacher. Like some could say, I know who your teacher is, based on how you do this particular move, this particular form. Where did you learn that? That's just like, so it's when you're deep into the martial arts, you can pull out certain things that you be like, okay, I only saw that with Marlon Sims, or I've seen that before, because the way he does, this and that's when you're deep into it. Other people can't see it. It's like almost when that punch is coming at you and it goes in slow motion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a Matrix.
Right, it's a Matrix. Like, did he really just throw that punch? Wah. To anybody else, it would be, quick and to the face. But then you see it, and you're like, and now your counter is this. So you see it as it's coming, and same with different styles. You see, I know who your teacher is.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, hey, Wes, listen, man. I learned a lot in this short talk that we've had.
Yeah.
But we got a little bit more to talk about a little later, man.
Yeah, let's go.
But hey, man, I want to thank you for this opportunity.
Man, this is my pleasure.
And I'll toast.
A toast.
Martial art brothers.
Martial arts for love. Love them forever.
Mm-hmm. Well, everybody.
This is T, by the way.
Yeah, T. Good T. Well, hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in again. I hope you enjoyed the content. Talking with Brother Wes, Kuk Sool, 3rd degree black belt, practitioner of the Korean system. And stick around for the next time we meet and have more martial art moments. Thank you for subscribing. And if you're tuning in, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll provide more content, I promise you. Stay tuned, everybody.
Peace. Love.
Love.